Hi ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at some divisibility rules. So for the divisibility rule of 2, so that's anytime we're dividing a large number by 2, we use this rule. The rule is stated that if the digit in the ones place value is even, the number is divisible by 2. So that means anytime there's an odd number in the ones place value, it's not divisible by 2. So let's take a quick peek at how this works. So if I have the number 1244, in order to figure out if this is divisible by 2, I'm looking at the ones place value. In this case, it's this place value right here, which is a 4. I know that 4 is an even number and that 4 is divisible by 2, so therefore the entire number 1244 is divisible by 2. Now let's take a look at a number that wouldn't be. Say 1245, for example. Again, I'm looking at the ones place value, so in this time it's a 5, and that means that it's an odd number and therefore it's not divisible by 2. So the digits, or the numbers that can show up in the ones place value, can be either a 0, a 2, a 4, a 6, or an 8. And it'll be divisible by 2. When looking at the divisibility rule of 5, if the digit in the ones place value is a 5 or a 0, the number is divisible by 5. So let's take a look at that. So the same rule applies. We're looking at the ones place value again. So let's say we're looking at the number 5245. Again, just like the divisibility rule of 2, we're looking at the ones place value. Here we have a 5, so now we know that the entire number is divisible by 5. If we had a number such as 2440, again, looking at the ones place value, it's a 0, therefore the entire number is divisible by 5. If we have a number such as 1243, we look at the place value, the ones place value. There's a 3 in there. It's not a 0, it's not a 5, so it's not divisible by 5. Divisibility rule of 10 says if the digit in the ones place value is a 0, the number is divisible by 10. So if we take a look at this one, if we're doing a number such as 2440, again, just like the divisibility rule of 2 and 5, the divisibility rule of 10 says we look at the ones place value. Here we have a 0, therefore it is divisible by 10. If we have a number such as 20,244, we're still looking at the ones place value. In this case it's not a 0, so it's not divisible by 10. Okay, when we start getting into the other numbers, such as 3, it gets a little bit more complex, but still fairly straightforward. So the divisibility rule of 3 says if the sum of the digits is a multiple of 3, the number itself is divisible by 3. So what this looks like is, if I have the number 213, what I do is I take all of these digits, so the 2, the 1, and the 3, and I'm going to add them together. So 2 plus 1 plus 3. And this, of course, equals 6. Now I know that 6 is divisible by 3. And if that works, then I know that the entire number, 213, is also divisible by 3. If I have a number such as 217, I take the 3 numbers and I'm adding them together. I'm finding the sum of the digits. So 2 plus 1 plus 7 equals 10. I know that 10 is not evenly divisible by 3, therefore 217 is not divisible by 3. The divisibility rule for 9 is similar to the divisibility rule of 3, except this time it has to be a multiple of 9. So it states if the sum of the digits is a multiple of 9, the number is divisible by 9. So we do the exact same thing that we would do with the divisibility rule for 3. We're going to be adding the digits together. So let's take a number such as 450. Now, just like we did with the divisibility of 3, we go 4 plus 5 plus 0. I know that this equals 9. 9 is able to be divided by 9, and so therefore 450 is divisible by 9. If I take a number such as 1322, again I'll just take 1 plus 3 plus 2 plus 2. I get 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 is not evenly divisible by 9, so 1322 is not divisible by 9. Okay, divisibility rule for 6 states that if the number is divisible by both 2 and 3, the number is also divisible by 6. So what we have to do here is we actually have to go back and look at the divisibility rule of 2 and 3. And that says that the divisibility of 2 means that it has to be an even number in the ones place value, and it also needs to have the sum divisible by 3. So if we look at the number 2422, now we look at the ones place value, it has an even number, so it is divisible by 2. However, when we go 2 plus 4 plus 2 plus 2, it goes 2, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That equals 10. 10 is not divisible by 3, so this is not divisible by 3, which means that our original number of 2422 is not divisible by 6. Now let's take a look at 2421. We look at the ones place value. It's not an even number, so therefore divisible by 2 doesn't work. However, 2 plus 4 plus 2 plus 1 gives us 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 is divisible by 3, so the divisibility of 3 works. However, it has to be both of them. It has to be both divisible by 2 and divisible by 3, so 2421 is not divisible by 6. If we look at a number such as 660, to figure out if it's divisible by 2, we look at the ones place value. It's a 0. That makes it an even number, so it's divisible by 2. And then 6 plus 6 plus 0 equals 12. 12 is divisible by 3, therefore this number is also divisible by 3, meaning that because both of these work, this number is divisible by 6. Okay, divisibility rule for 4 says if the digits in the ones and tens place value create a number divisible by 4, the whole number is divisible by 4. So what this looks like is if we have a number, say 440, what we do is we actually take a look at the ones and the tens place value. So in this case it's the number 40. Since we're working with 40, what we need to do is determine, is this divisible by 4? If this works, and in this case it does, then the whole number is divisible by 4. So 440 is divisible by 4. If we were looking at a number such as 442, pardon me, I'll write that in black, 442. Again, we look at the ones and the tens place value. In this case, it's a 42. 42 is not evenly divisible by 4, and therefore 442 is not divisible by 4. Here's the divisibility rule for 8. It states that if the digits in the ones, tens, and hundreds place value create a number divisible by 8, the whole number is divisible by 8. So it's very similar to 4, except instead of the last 2 digits, we're looking at the last 3. Now for our quiz that's coming up on Monday, we're not going to be dealing with divisibility rule of 8. So I'm not going to show it to you on the video, but I will show you in class. And it's worth knowing either way, but you probably noticed going through here we didn't come across a divisibility rule for 7. That's because we do not work with a divisibility rule for 7 because it's just too complex. So I hope those helped you out. If you have any questions, feel free to email me on my school email, or you can tweet me if you follow me on Twitter. But again, we have that quiz on Monday. You can use this to help study, and I wish you luck on the quiz. All right, I'll talk to you soon.
Made with Doodlecast Pro.